Hey, how's it going? Happy Wednesday. It's today's date, Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. So glad to see everybody here. If you're joining, if this is the first time that you're joining this show or the first time you're seeing it, my name is John Good. You might know who I am based on some other content or however you found the channel, but basically I focus on cybersecurity content, cybersecurity career advice, all those kind of things throughout the content that I put out. And depending on what platform you're watching this, right now we're doing LinkedIn and YouTube. YouTube is where I predominantly put most of my content as far as the free stuff and tutorials and things like that. So definitely check that out if you aren't looking at that already. But the purpose of this is called Cyber Hour. And hey, Matthias and Winston, glad to see you here. But the whole purpose of this, and let me turn on the chat overlay here. The whole purpose of this live stream is to just hang out for about an hour, talk cybersecurity stuff, career advice, those kind of things that I'm already doing on other platforms, doing it on Cyber Training Pro
and I've been doing career advice and training and all those kind of things for a long time now. But just an opportunity to hop on here, hang out with people from the community. And if you have questions, you want to look at your resume, all those kind of things, that's what this is for, question and answer. All those kind of things that can help you out in your career. And maybe that will help you as far as just what you're doing and how you can advance. And if you love the information, you want more, obviously you can go to cybertrainingpro.com. Link is in the description of all this, and you can train with me on there or do career coaching sessions on there as well. Also, if you're a sponsor or somebody looking to sponsor content, maybe that's how you found me, then definitely check out the description because there's more information on there as far as how you can sponsor content and help support the channel, help support what I do on here, what we put out for the community, and how we help people. So definitely love the sponsors because they help make a lot of this stuff accessible to everybody, and they really help fund and support a lot of the things that we do. So we love sponsors. If you want to support the channel as well, you can always join the YouTube membership. But yeah, we put out a lot of free content, so there is no shortage of that. With that being said, too, I see there's some questions that are coming in here. So just to talk about kind of how this works, here in a second, I am going to put a link to this stream in the chat. So if you want something like your resume reviewed, or you just want to hop on and talk, that's fine as well. You can come on and hang out, but you will either have to have your mic on at least to talk, or preferably your mic and your camera as well, so we can hang out and we can just chat and talk about your career and things. So give me 1 second here, and I'm going to go ahead and put the chat the link to the stream in here. So obviously it goes without saying, keep it professional. This is a professional stream. Anybody that's not professional that tries to get on here, you'll be booted. So keep that in mind. Also, too, if you haven't noticed, I have switched up my main camera. So I just want to show you this real quick here before we hop into this. But kind of changed up things how I had them with the cameras. I had a really nice camera that I wasn't necessarily using a whole bunch. So I actually put that into the main camera here. So you'll see a little bit of differences in the view. We've had this one on a lot of the videos. And then there you go. There's a third one as well. So got a lot of different views going on here. So, okay, let's see here. Let me get the link. Throw in here. And I'm going to put it in the YouTube chat. So if you're watching on LinkedIn, then you'll want to go over there. Actually, yeah, I probably can put it in here. So let me just copy this and put this into here. All right. If I can add text to that too. Let me do this. Hold on. Okay. There we go. That's probably better. So I've put the link in the chat, in the YouTube chat. You should still see it if you're on LinkedIn as well. Actually, I can flip over to my other screen. Yeah, you'll see it on the screen on LinkedIn too. Then put it in the chat on LinkedIn, so you will have to type it in if you want to do that. But again, this is an opportunity to hop on here if you want. I'll still take questions through chat. You don't have to get on here. But again, if you want something like your resume looked at, some advice or feedback on that, you're going to have to join the live stream or go to Cyber Training Pro, where that's a service that we offer on there as well. And you can totally do that. But if you do join and you want your resume looked at, what I would do is have you share your screen and we'll go through it that way. But make sure that you omit anything that you don't want included to the world, because you obviously are going to be on a live stream. And if you share your phone number or something, you shared your phone number. So don't do it if you don't want that information out there. So, all right. So with that being said, let me look over here in the chat, take a look at some of these questions we have coming in. And thanks to everybody who's joining. If you just joined, welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you here. Love to hear where you're from. And just throw that in the chat and let me know that you can hear me okay from there. So let's see here. All right. So, first question here from Matthias, and let me know if I'm saying that incorrectly. But what do you do if department head wants you to do the work of a position that was advertised and no longer filled work, but not receiving a pay increase for both jobs? Interesting situation. The kind of tough love answer is that's how the world works, right? Like, one of the things with job roles is just because a position was listed or it was put on your careers website for your company, maybe that funding was pulled. Maybe they didn't have the funding to support that full job and they're trying to do more with less. That's a pretty common term or saying in the technology world, is trying to do more with less, because ultimately we're trying to use technology to make things more efficient, make things more effective, speed things up, not need as many people. Typically in a cybersecurity department, IT department, you're going to have less people than you technically need. So if you were to look at all the tasks and everything that you could theoretically need to do or that you have to do, you're probably going to be a little bit understaffed from 100% utilization on that. So that's important to understand. Now, why that also matters is if you're in a company where you're completely maxed out on how many people are in your team or in your department, one of the things that is unfortunate is if there's budget cuts or there's a recession or anything like that, and you're maxed out on how many people you have, there's no buffer. Well, people are going to get laid off. People are going to get let go. So don't necessarily think of that as a bad thing. One of the things with taking on additional tasks, especially if it's a higher level position, well, what are the pros and cons of that? First of all, that's an opportunity to take on more responsibility, maybe leadership responsibility, maybe supervisory responsibilities, whatever, more technology experience. All these things are positive things, even though they might take more effort. It's not a bad thing. You can take on more responsibilities, do more work, learn more things, pad that resume a little bit more. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. I In the working world, one of the things you have to understand is that tasks are always redistributed, divvied up within departments and companies and teams. So don't think that just because you're getting extra responsibilities or extra things because the business has adjusted or shifted or evolved, don't think that's going to automatically equate to you getting more pay, right? It's not how it works. Sometimes you'll just have to do it. And one of the things that we hear a lot with newer professionals is they look at the job postings that exist, right? The job posting they applied to or got hired in for, and they're like, well, that's not in my job description. Unfortunately or fortunately, job descriptions evolve all the time. So just because you got hired in to do one thing does not mean that's going to be your permanent job or permanent set of responsibilities. That could change on day one. That's totally possible. Typically, jobs stay kind of similar and they evolve, but that's important to understand. So, you have to make that decision if it's too much to do and your leadership isn't willing to work with you or redistribute it. But you got to make that call. But that is the reality of how things work in the working world, and that could happen at another company. It's not just isolated to your current company. So you need to look at that and kind of evaluate. Is this going to work you too much to where you don't want to do it, or is it going to cause burnout or whatever, right? So good question, good question. Let's see here. Let me hide that. And let me bring Winston on because it looks like he has joined. Hey, Winston, how's it going? Can you hear me? Hey, Winston, you there? All right, looks like he might have froze. So I'll take you off and just let me know if you're back. And check the stream too, just to make sure that I didn't freeze. Always the thing with these live streams is you never know sometimes when things happen. Got to keep an eye on. Got to keep an eye on it, especially when you're a one man shop here, one man show. Let's see. Okay, I see Winston, you're coming back on. Let me try to add you again here. Hey, Winston, can you hear me? I can see you moving, Winston. Can you hear me? Let's see. I think you're. Hey, Winston, can you hear me? All right. I'm not sure if your audio is on your speakers or I'm not sure. I'm going to take you off for right now. Let me know if you're ready to get on, or if you can hear me, because it looks like your internet connection might be slow or something. Try a different browser too if you're having issues with this particular software. I like certain browsers, so try that if you're having issues as well. Let's see here, because I'm guessing that is for the resume review that you asked about. So yeah, definitely see if you can fix that or try a different browser, and then just hop back on here, and we'll definitely take a look. Right. So Wednesdays are always great, right? Halfway through the week, at least the work week, almost to the weekend. Sometimes they're busy though. They're busy that can be challenging. Let's see. All right. It's an interesting question. And again, if you're joining the stream now, feel free to check out the link that I put in the chat. You can join the live stream. You can call in with your audio, preferably with your video too, so we can hang out. But if you have questions, any question that's asked through the actual stream when you're on here, you will get preferential treatment or prioritized responses because you're on the stream. You decided to join. But of course, we will answer the questions that are in the chat as well. So don't fear if you don't want to join, but we'd love to have you on here. It's about an hour to hang out. So hour to hang out, talk cybersecurity, talk career stuff. It's a good time. So is it Lauren asks, is it normal for a pen test position to be 8 rounds of interviews? If you had an interview with 8 rounds, I feel bad for you. I truly feel bad for you because and I can totally empathize with that situation. So some companies are out of control on their interview process, right? One of the things with interviewing and selecting candidates, like from a general sense, a general standpoint, it's very difficult to feel like you really picked the exact right candidate. There's a lot of things you have to evaluate. There's a lot of unknowns, even though as an employer, you're going to do things like look at their resume and talk to people and maybe reference checks. So there's several steps that can happen, but it's still like you don't know until that person gets in there and starts doing the job. You don't know how well things are really going to mesh with that person. they can mesh with you very well as a hiring manager and they get in the job and then they just, cause all kinds of issues with the team. Don't work, whatever. So that in itself is a challenge. In a lot of cases, I think that's why you see multiple rounds of interviews. Typically, so okay, like a typical interview process. Let's talk about that. I've been through interviews that were a single interview. With an offer, right? So a single interview to get an offer. I've been in a single panel interview to get an offer. So with three or four people from the three people from the team typically, and then like an HR person, recruiter, something like that. Got an offer out of that. I've been on. Let's see. I've been on. I think the most rounds of an interview that I've had might be four or five. That's like the absolute most. And typically, when it's that many, there's some kind of challenge in there, like a technical or a non-technical challenge, writing something where you just have, you have to do something to kind of exhibit your skills for that job. And with a couple interviews as well. The typical interview process, I would say, is usually no more than like three interviews. So typically, you'll talk to a recruiter or HR person, and this is just like in general. So you'll talk to an HR recruiter person. If they pass you on, some companies will give you a challenge. So, like with pen testing, this is starting to be more commonplace for sure, where you're given some kind of challenge, a capture the flag thing, exercise, something where you have to kind of prove yourself before you actually talk to people. You might get to talk to somebody before you do that. So, those might be switched around. But those kind of things are usually utilized very early on in the process because they're used to weed people out. They're used to eliminate candidates that really don't know what's going on. Because once that candidate starts talking to somebody or has to get on a call with somebody, now you're taking half an hour away from that employee to go do an interview that may or may not work out. So it could be a complete waste of an hour. If the candidate is not good, could have just wasted an hour of them talking to that person. And a lot of times, as an interviewer, you don't want to be rude. So you probably want to talk to people and kind of get to know more information. But 8 is very excessive. I'm interested where that was because honestly, I've interviewed for some massive companies, very well-known tech companies, things like that, things that I'm sure you're using every day to socialize and do various things. And none of them were 8 rounds. So I did have a couple interviews that were more sales engineer type roles that I think those were like 3 or 4 hour long interviews roughly on the same day. Maybe they were like 45 minutes, but 45 minutes or an hour. Now that's exhausting. When you do that many, especially for that long, especially in like a sales type of role, because you're going to be doing more talking, those can be challenging, but 8 rounds is a ton. That's definitely not normal. So I feel bad for you, but maybe don't uh, out the company in the chat. Maybe that's not the best thing to do, but eight's a lot. Frankly, if I found out that an interview process was 8 rounds, me personally, I probably would not do it. I would be like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Even like with those questionnaires and things like that, where there's like a quiz. Like I have started interviews like that or application processes like that, and I've just quit. Like I'm not. I'm like I am not finishing this. This is a huge waste of time. No, thank you. I don't want to work for a company that's so reliant on those kind of things. So looks like Winston came back. Let me hide this. Let's see if got your camera working and everything. Hey Winston, how's it going? Can you hear me? Hey, Winston, can you hear me? Let me do this. Because I can see you, I can see your camera is working, but I don't know if you can hear me. Oh, looks like you left again. So maybe it's not working again. So no problem. I just try to get it working. If you get it working and I see you join, just kind of wave, and I'll add you on here. That way, it'll keep adding you on, and then and then it not working or whatever. So you might have to give your browser permissions to use your mic and stuff too. So check that. So the other thing that's exciting too that we've been doing is if you see the scrolling ticker on the bottom here, if you go there, this is for Cyber Training Pro as well, but you can actually join the community for free. So you can get on there, ask questions, make posts, hang out with me. I have a lot of exciting things that I'm planning to put in there as part of Cyber Training Pro, but you get access to the community for free. A lot of it is just you basically can unlock content. So there's some different training and stuff that we're going to have on there, as well as just some other special things, especially that are career service related, that that are going to be available to people that are in the community. So I highly recommend checking that out. That's changed. We used to have I used to have my Discord server, and I do a lot of stuff on there, and the two have merged. So now you'll be able to do all that stuff in the community. So you don't have to sign up or buy training or anything like that. All you got to do is go to that link. It'll have instructions on what you have to do, and you'll be able to get into the community and hang out there as well. And I'm always in the community, so you can always ask me questions, interact. There's other people in there as well, so it's a good time. All right. So go ahead and add Victor on here. Hey, Victor, how's it going?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Good, good. It's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Almost.
So there's a question, or what was the topic?
Yeah.
Mentorship. Oh yeah. Well, okay, I can't really say a question. I'll just be like, I've been studying triacme for a while now, so I'm just doing that. Do you think I should still continue applying for jobs, or I should just wait till I'm done? Because I think getting a certificate is really important in trying to look for a cybersecurity job. So do you think should I keep applying? I should just hold applications and just concentrate on the certificates? What do you think I should do?
Yeah, I mean, so applying is one of those things where I think you can never really apply too early. You're never going to feel like ready to go and apply or like to really dive in there. There's always going to be, well, if I could get this training or if I could get this certification. And it's essentially, it turns into this exercise of moving that goalpost further and further every time you kind of reach a milestone. So I'm not one that says, hey, you have to get this certification, you have to do this specific thing to apply. Because ultimately, when you apply, some of it is going to be based on the right place at the right time, because essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to apply to a job that's looking for a certain set of skills, certain type of person, and you're hoping that what you bring to the table and what they're looking for kind of match or kind of meet in the middle as far as what they're looking for and what they're willing to bring on. You're never going to know exactly what that is, because even though those job postings will say, you know, this certification, this training skill, whatever, right? Like whatever, there's all these different things, but you don't know the order of importance of those things. You don't know if there's things that they want that they didn't put in there that maybe you have, or that you can talk about that will interest them, whatever the case is, right? Apply, 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 especially on your first job. Your first job, especially, is going to be one of those things where it's more about the number of applications. It's kind of a numbers game because, again, you're trying to find that situation that's going to allow you to come in and kind of evolve your skills and develop. And if you just kind of sit back and you get a certain certification, maybe that's going to help. Maybe it won't. Maybe it won't change the situation. And then now you've missed out on potential opportunities that are out there that you could have just applied to, and maybe it worked out. A lot of times with hiring and with getting jobs, it's not always the most qualified person that gets those jobs. One of the things that happens with jobs is that employers, they want to bring in people that will develop, that will grow in that role and kind of evolve their career. Now, where on the like qualifications standpoint that you stand, whether you're like 50% qualified or 10 or 20, whatever, that's going to vary. But um, if they bring in somebody that's 100% qualified, as an example, that's not going to work out very well for them because they've brought in somebody that already can do the job, that doesn't really have anywhere to go except for leaving. So they're not going to be able to give them a lot of times big raises because that means they probably are going to put them higher on the pay scale. And there's all kinds of issues with bringing somebody that's like at the top most qualified level of a certain job. So I would say just apply, apply, apply. It's a numbers game, and the results will kind of help you along the process too. Because if you get an interview, even if it doesn't work out, you can learn from that experience. You can learn from the questions they ask you, and you can use that to help you identify other areas that you want to study or other areas that you want to pursue, things that are important to that employer, especially when we're talking about like categories of jobs, like security operations center jobs, as an example, or GRC jobs. If an employer says that, hey, we're really interested in this, well, I can basically infer or assume that other companies with the same kind of job are probably going to be interested in that as well, especially if it's like the same industry, maybe the same country, right? Like all of these kind of similarities, depending on what those are, that could apply across the board. Some things will just apply across the board to all those positions. So it's just one of those things where apply, apply, apply. It's never too early to start applying. Obviously, understand that when you apply to jobs and you're kind of developing, you're kind of coming up, understand that you might get rejected, right? Like if you aren't that qualified for a certain job, it's not that big of a deal if you apply, you get rejected, whatever. It's going to happen. But that's why you're continuing to learn, you're continuing to grow, and eventually those two things kind of meet. And then you'll land the job and you'll be good and you'll just start getting experience and keep going.
Thank
Does that
you.
make sense?
It makes sense. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and feel free to hang out. You don't have to hop off.
Yeah. I'll keep listening, but I might just turn my video off.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
Uh,
Let's see here. So I think there was another question that somebody asked in here. So I'll bring this up. All right. So what's your opinion on studying cybersecurity in university? So it's a good question. I feel like I probably need more context to give you the answer you're probably trying to get, or the the question you're really trying to answer. In general, cybersecurity degrees have come a long ways. When I was starting out, so I got into cybersecurity in started looking into it, started deciding that I was going to go into it in 2012, and then started really going full at it in 2013. So I've been in the industry for a while, a little over 10 years, almost what's that, 11, 12 years. So I've been around the block, um, and in those early days, that was the very early days of cybersecurity degree programs. So I went to a degree program for cybersecurity, information assurance and cybersecurity. And, uh, there's very few programs that were dedicated to that. One of the things that kind of came out of all of that and has evolved since is this whole the NSA, and I'm assuming you're in the U.S. Sorry if you're not in the U.S. Some of this will be similar or kind of apply, but I'm just speaking from the U.S. since that's where I'm at. But the NSA, the National Security Agency, they had these centers of excellence, these academic centers of excellence, and essentially these are universities that follow a certain curriculum. They teach certain things, certain topics, certain classes, those kind of things. And some of them do research and whatever, right? Like there's certain requirements for these universities to be in there. So we're getting more towards a standardized curriculum, especially if you go to one of those universities, which is highly recommended if you're in the United States and you're looking for a degree program. Go to one of those universities. Don't go to one that's not on there because it's it's just not generally a good idea. They might have random curriculum. You can't say you went to a center of excellence. There's all kinds of benefits to going to that kind of institution. There's a huge list of them, right? Like there's a ton of those universities that are on there. But so that's kind of the history of it, right? It's kind of evolved. Now, as far as a degree program, like any degree program, it's going to vary based on the university, based on the instructors that are there or the professors, based on the cost. There's a ton of variables that go into that. What part of life that you're in, what you've done before, do you have a degree already? You can see here, there's a ton of questions that are um, that need to kind of be answered because that helps shape just as far as like the value and everything like that. In a general sense, I mean, a degree is really meant to give you general exposure to a certain area. Okay. It's meant to give you that general exposure and it's meant to get you a specific type of job or lead you down the path for a specific type of job. The ideal scenario is that it gets you that kind of job. We see that especially with like computer science degrees. That's a very common degree that people talk about. It's a common degree people talk about sometimes with cybersecurity. Computer science is not meant to get you in cybersecurity. Computer science is meant to get you a job as a developer. So I want to let that sink in a little bit because especially with that degree in particular, a lot of people have this misconception that a degree is just a degree. There's no like direct purpose as far as the job that you're trying to get, right? So degrees, again, they're meant to get you general exposure and they're meant to work you towards a specific job or get you a specific type of job, right? Going down that path. Cybersecurity degree, uh, I think there's value in them, just like there's value in IT degrees. One of the things that we don't always see with cybersecurity degrees is more of an established building the foundation. Sometimes these degrees they will they jump a little bit too far ahead in the process as far as the knowledge and things like that. Not all of them, but obviously when we're talking about things that you have to learn in order to be successful, you got to learn about operating systems, you got to learn about networks, you got to learn basic security, and you got to learn some of this other stuff, maybe hacking, risk management, whatever. There's all these things that you've got to learn, and they're kind of like blocks stacking on top of each other to build that foundation and then build what you know. A degree is not going to be a comprehensive thing that's going to cover every single thing that you need to actually be successful. So even with a degree, you're still going to need things like certifications, projects. There's a lot of people out there with degrees. If it was as easy as just getting a degree to get a job, then everybody would just go get a degree and get a job. But that's not the case, right? But there is a lot of value in them. Typically degrees, they just can come into play as far as employment. There are certain companies organizations, governments that really want degrees. There are some that will require it. So in some cases, you might have to have a degree no matter what. It's not the only way to learn this stuff because again, you're going to need certifications most likely to supplement everything and kind of give that more more balanced industry check mark on your personal on your professional profile because a lot of other people are going to have certifications. If they don't have degrees, well, then it's like, well, as an employer, how do we compare apples to apples? I can't necessarily compare a degree with a certification. They're not the same thing. There's differences in them. You get different things out of them. So, the short answer is really if you can, ideally get both. But if you know you want to go into cybersecurity, and again, this goes back to the purpose of degrees. If you know you want to work in cybersecurity, go for a cybersecurity degree. It will help. You will learn things, especially if you have professors that have worked in the field, worked in the career field. That will help you. You'll have a chance to really focus on the things that you want to learn. It doesn't do you any good to get a degree in something that you don't have any interest in, right? If I have people that comment on the channel that they'll say, "Well, I'm going to get a computer science degree, but I want to work in cybersecurity," and it makes me pause because again, it's like people don't always understand the purpose of degrees. If you know you want to work in a certain area, it is better to have a degree in that certain area. It's just how it is. It doesn't like if you know you want to work in cybersecurity, as an example, this is a random scenario. And you're like, I'm gonna get a history degree though. There's no correlation between those. So essentially you're gonna go burn however much money trying to get this other degree that's completely unrelated or loosely related, whatever, when you already know the path that you want to go. So that doesn't make sense to me. If you want a certain job, if you want to work in cybersecurity, go ahead, cybersecurity degree. That'll be good. It will it will be beneficial. So I could go on forever about degrees, education, certifications. There's so much about that stuff that the discussion could last forever. So looks like Winston's back on here. Hey Winston, how's it going?
Hi, sorry about that. I was having a lot of technical difficulties.
Oh no, you're good. What was going on? Was your computer or something?
Yeah, it seemed like every single time I would switch from my computer to my phone, like my laptop would just run hot. So I guess I don't have a lot of storage on here.
Oh, gotcha.
But it's all right. In the midst of it, I actually sent my resume through via Gmail. So I have it on my phone.
Oh, okay. Do you want to share it?
Yes, sir. Let's see. I think this is presentations. Let's see. We're going to go over here. Can you see it?
I cannot. Let's see. Hmm. Let's see. Let me try something here. Oops. I see a black screen.
Alrighty.
Chat. And while you're doing that, it looks like there's a couple other comments in here that I'll throw up here while you're trying to fix that.
Alrighty.
So,
Thank
yeah. Dan says, I'd like to call in, but won't be home for about 5 minutes. No problem. We do this for about an hour, so you may make it in time, may not. But if not, no worries. You can always ask questions in the comments and everything like that. You can join the community and you can ask them on there, or you can always catch the next one. I do this monthly, so. And then Bearded IT Dad, a friend of the show. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Thanks for joining.
Oh, I think I almost had it upload. And let's see. I think this is the recent one, so let me put that on in here.
Okay.
Whoopsies. I just wanted to make some edits because I didn't want to. Boy, I'm messing up.
No worries, no worries. I'm sure the fans will enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah, so while he's working on that, for anybody that's just joining, the scroller, the ticker on the bottom, if you go to that website, if you're trying to start a career, if you want to join the community, do that on there. It's all free, so you can go on there and sign up. It'll tell you how to get an account and everything, and that's where I hang out. So if you have questions, things like that, you just want direct access, you don't want to do it through YouTube or something, head on over there. It's definitely a good spot to hang out. So let's see. Uh,
It's all right. Yeah, is it all right if you click on someone else, please? Because I'm trying to find the one where I just edited out my phone number and
Gotcha.
Gmail.
Yeah, no worries. All right, so you're still in the stream, and I just put it onto my camera. So just let me know when you're good. Your audio
there?
should still work and everything. So
All right.
right. So I hope everybody's having a good Wednesday. Again, we're almost to the weekend here. Wednesdays are always great. One of my favorite days of the week. I like Thursdays and Fridays probably better. but yeah, Wednesdays are always good. Glad that I'm glad that a lot of people are getting value out of this and hopping on these things. I think this is the third third time that I've done this, and again, I'm doing a monthly, so definitely make sure that you check it out. Check it out on the monthly. Go. It's like Winston's still trying to get his resume all squared away. So, Winston, if you just go like this, let me know when you're ready, and I'll bring you back in. All right. So if anybody else wants to join, we're not going to be doing this too much longer for this one. So trying to let Winston have a few minutes to try to figure out what he's got going on as far as the issue for getting the resume up. I know he's been trying to get it for the most of the live stream, so I want to try to give him an opportunity to get on here and do it if we can get it to work. But if anybody else wants to join, the link is in the chat, so feel free to go in there and join. Come hang out for the last few minutes of the stream. I know we have some friends that are in here. All right, it says share your screen. All right, so let me try to bring you back here. Let's see if we got this working here. All right. Let's see. All I see. Can you hear me, Winston?
Here we go.
Okay. Maybe it's got to load here for a second. I'm just seeing a blank screen. Are you still pulling it up? Try to do this. Let's see. It says you started to share your screen, but I'm not seeing anything on there. Looks like it's just like a blank screen. Let's take that down.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah, it's kind of like choppy or slow. All right, I'll try to give you another couple minutes here or so, see if you can get it squared away. But while you're working on that, we got another question here from Victor. This is, what difficulty have you faced so far working in cybersecurity? And I think working in cybersecurity is one of those career fields where you're always going to have to learn. That's probably the most difficult thing in this career field is to always be learning, always be paying attention to new things. There's so much information out there. There's so many changes, and you're expected to be adaptable, to learn quick on your feet, and make really kind of educated decisions or estimations about things as far as how to deal with risk and the best approach to things. So that's definitely one of the most challenging things in the career field, hands down. The other, depending on your background and those kind of things, dealing with people. If you have a history of dealing with people or in sales, communication, anything like that, like I came from a background of sales and marketing and those kind of jobs, so I had that experience. It wasn't that much of a struggle to kind of figure that part out, but that is definitely another challenge that people have. So definitely something to not sleep on. You gotta still work on your soft skills. Looks like we have Dan joined. Add you on here, Dan. Hey Dan, how's it going?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
Hi. I wish I had a resume to show as well, but I don't. I was just going to kind of ask you, um, I guess I'm trying to just get some advice for how to best prepare myself for trying to get specifically into a remote job. I've had some number of health issues. I've been in the active duty military working as a like network engineer, network architecture, information security, a lot of these different types of things. I've been doing that for 19 years. I'll be retiring in one more year,
Oh,
but I have a lot of health limitations right now, and I think that's might continue. So like working from home is going to be absolutely essential. And right now, I am a little more than halfway through my undergrad with Western Governors University's cybersecurity program. And there's a number of different certifications that you get while you're doing the program, like A plus, Network plus, CYSA, pen test or pen plus, mostly CompTIA stuff. But I was kind of looking to figure out, I guess, I don't want to work in a managerial position. I want to work
Sure.
more as a technician
Yeah.
remotely and not even full time, maybe even necessarily.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so basically, how to kind of approach that and get those kind of roles. So, one of the things that with remote roles that I always try to emphasize and remind people that they need to emphasize with the things that they show employers, that they put in their resume, especially when it comes to remote jobs, is the whole idea of really being a self-starter, being able to take ownership, accountability of things, especially like large projects, interacting with a lot of teams, especially if you can do things that are list things that are dealing with teams in different locations from you, because all of those are relevant things to a remote job. As far as like the skills themselves, like the technical skills, a lot of those are the same, right? Like if you know how to use one technology on site, you basically know how to use that technology remotely. It's not going to change that much. Sometimes things are a little bit different, but it's really those self-starter kind of accountability ownership things. Because one of the fears that employers have when you're talking about remote jobs, remote employees, this is why you see a lot of these companies trying to force people back, is because they lose a lot of that control. They lose a lot of that oversight of these employees. You're just sitting at home. Well, you could have your computer on, you could be watching Netflix and taking a nap, right? Like these are all real things that can happen. But if you can kind of reinforce your ability to do those things on your own when nobody's looking, or just taking on new responsibilities that you aren't just assigned. Um, if you can show all those things, that's going to make an employer feel a little bit more comfortable about you as a remote employee. Now, actually finding those remote jobs,
Mm.
that's starting to be a little bit more complicated depending on the industry, the companies, all of the country, all those factors, because you are seeing a lot of these major companies, starting to direct employees back into the office in a lot of cases. That's not all companies, right? Like there's a lot of companies that are definitely still remote friendly, or I don't know if hybrid would work in your situation, but obviously that's another potential thing if that works.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe. I'll be moving to Scotland after I retire from the military.
okay.
I have also held on to a top secret and above clearance for the entire time that I've been in my career. I don't really want to do anything DoD related. I'm just want to get away from that entirely. But
Yeah.
in terms of working in Scotland, not really sure what the opportunities look like. They look like they're kind of similar as like here, I guess.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask the specific question of in terms of how you apply your cybersecurity skills and background and stuff. Do you, in terms of looking at remote jobs, would you think that maybe gearing more toward like pen test stuff would have more opportunities versus being under like a CISO and being like in a response center and stuff like that?
Yeah, so even that has changed a little bit, over the last couple of years. I remember when I was interviewing before the pandemic, I was interviewing for some large some large Fortune 500 companies that were kind of very set in their ways, more old school, and some of them were like we will not allow you to be remote, especially for security operations center jobs. If we're looking at all the different types of jobs, defense, I mean, definitely if you want to work remote, defense is probably not a good place to go. Like,
Yeah, they just
uh,
nixed all government
yeah,
teleworking. So
yeah. And, like defense contractors, all those, probably not a great spot to go.
yeah, I'm
Because
avoiding that.
yeah. And um, as far as like specific types of jobs, though, the closer you are to operations, depending on the company, depending on the industry, right? Because a lot of things can be variable, but typically the closer you are to operations, the less flexibility in that sense that you're going to have.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at, let's see, so GRC, pen test jobs, cloud jobs, even though that's kind of operational, cloud is meant to be, remote, those kind of things. If you, and I say cloud because the companies that are heavy into cloud, they will likely be more remote friendly, just because they are used to that idea of not having a data center that they spent $1 billion to build out, and feeling the obligation to have people on site.
I
um,
see.
so definitely just looking at those different kind of jobs, there are certainly jobs that will be more likely to have that type of flexibility. Now, when we look at companies, when we look at different industries, when we're talking about like a consulting company, some consulting companies are very remote friendly, and I bring that up because you brought up pen testing. A lot of pen testing jobs tend to be at consulting companies, as an example. Um,
Gotcha.
some consulting companies will not be that flexible or interested in having remote employees. Sometimes it's based on seniority, right? If you're a very senior level employee, you have a lot of experience, you're versus like somebody that has like 6 months of experience, maybe they're going to be more friendly to how much you can work remotely because you've already proven yourself. So these are all, considerations that you have to take into account. But again, the overarching theme is the closer you get to operations, the less likely there's going to be flexibility there.
Yeah, that makes absolute
Um,
sense. I appreciate that. And I also took down some notes about what you're talking about with demonstrating on your resume if you're targeting a remote position to be able to demonstrate that you have characteristics such as personal accountability, initiative, self-starter, stuff like that. So I'll definitely keep that in mind when I'm building my resume. And
yeah.
yeah, looking maybe more toward cloud stuff. I know that my degree also includes CCSP.
Okay. Yep.
I don't know if that's a very desired cert or not, but I know it's cloud related. So
Yeah. I mean, it's an it's not one that a ton of people have. So it's the ISC squared one, right? Or ISC two, I guess now.
yep, yeah,
um,
I see too.
so it's one that not a ton of people have, but it's vendor neutral, so it's not going to focus on a specific cloud technology. It's going to give you that general kind of understanding of
Yeah,
cloud, which is great. Um, a lot of times what happens with cloud is you'll get into a company and they'll be pretty focused on a single cloud vendor. Some companies will have multi-cloud environments where that maybe they have like GCP, Google's cloud, and then they have AWS or something.
yeah,
It's just going to vary, but one of the things with cloud in general is it's good to start out general, like that's totally fine because you'll learn the concepts that will apply to a lot of the different companies, a lot of different environments. Once you get into if you go the cloud route and you get into a cloud environment, start focusing on whatever vendor that you have. So start looking at those vendor specific certifications, because with cloud, you want to try to accelerate what you understand and kind of like build your expertise in that certain provider. A lot of
okay,
companies will see, if you've gotten to that like professional level in AWS, let's say, they're going to see, okay, you got to this level and we are a GCP shop, but we know you can learn that. So you probably can learn this as
I see.
well. So
Okay,
there's a lot of like connections there, because a lot of times these cloud providers, they have similar services, they have similar offerings. They just call it something else. Um, and so it's like that with even like networking, like traditional networking. It was even kind of like that there, where we had like Cisco certifications. It's like, okay, you got to a CCIE in Cisco, you probably can learn
you can
Juniper,
learn some
like,
Juniper. Yeah,
like, you know. So it's kind of this like just mental connection that people people kind of build in their heads when they see one thing, which is true,
Gotcha.
right? Like if you learn AWS, you can go learn Azure, you can go learn GCP. It's not going to be
Right.
that difficult to do. It takes
You know
work,
the you
but
know the potential is there. You know that they have aptitude for this
yeah,
type of
exactly.
learning stuff, like whatever that content is.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, well, thanks
Um,
so much. I don't want to take up all the rest of your time. I know that Winston was still trying to get back on here.
Yeah, no, you're good. I think we're going to pretty much wrap up here in a second. But the other thing too that I'd say is just in that situation, in any situation, do projects, try to document them. Right, it's just another kind of check mark that you can have on your profile, especially with really any type of job, but cloud, pen testing, any of those types of jobs where you can build out projects and kind of document it, put it in a GitHub, put it on a blog, whatever, that will definitely help you just kind of stand out and kind of have that little extra that you bring to the table. So always an extra tidbit that I just like to throw in there is do projects, document them,
Gotcha.
document.
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely have to try to figure out how to translate my military background as best as possible. I mean, luckily it is a lot very just related to tech, but it's mostly on the network side of the house. It's mostly in infrastructure and building networks and even tactical communications, jumping out of planes, setting up secure networks, that type of stuff. But
Yeah,
it's not like quite a one for one, and I never really traditionally worked in a cybersecurity role in the military. I have worked in what we call a communications security office, where we're dealing with classified materials and accountability of them,
yep.
and we're concerned about
Comsec
physical.
keys.
Yeah, and
Yep,
we're concerned about physical
gotcha.
security. We're concerned about insider threat. We're considered, all these types of things. Yeah, exactly. ComSec keys.
Yep. Yeah, I mean it's especially like initially, because I spent quite a bit of time in the defense industry and contractors and stuff, and um, it's definitely even like being in the like defense contractor world because it's similar kind of things, right? There's a lot
Right.
of related kind of things. Initially, it can be hard to kind of build that bridge because outside of that world, right? Public companies, things like that. There's different things. They're not dealing with a lot of these similar kind of things, but I mean, you can try to focus on a lot of the transferable kind of things because there's a lot of them in there. Sometimes it might be a numbers game as far as applying to the jobs and trying to find a situation that either you have the direct skills for or that somebody maybe the hiring manager or director or something came from that world and they understand that connection. Because for me, that was the hardest thing that I found was that when I interviewed people that were just like they had never worked in that world, they had only worked in maybe like the startup world or something like that, or the tech world. They could not get it in their head, or they could not visualize or conceptualize the connection between the different kinds of environments. And some of
Right.
that's hard to explain too. Um, but it's good. It's one of those things you just have to kind of practice and rehearse to how you're explaining it to make sure that they kind of can connect the dots. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, but
I'm gonna
it's
definitely work on
doable.
that.
A lot of people will go, uh, you know, go from that world, go to the regular world, I guess.
Yeah. Civilian world.
Yeah. But yeah, it's doable. It's just, might take some effort, but what
Yep.
doesn't take effort in life, I guess.
True, true.
So
Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely. And definitely recommend going to the link down there and joining the community and stuff if you want to hang out, talk in there as well. But
Yeah.
obviously you can always leave comments, connect with me on social media and stuff. So
Sounds like a cool environment. I'll check it out.
cool. But with that being said, I'll go ahead and take you off here. But with that being said, thanks to everybody that showed up today. Appreciate it. Love doing these sessions, love hanging out with everybody, and really just answering questions. Again, the whole point of this is to get on here and hang out for about an hour. We went a little over today. Not a big deal, right? It's all about answering the questions, getting you guys the information that you need, and really just helping you out in your careers. So again, I hope you enjoy this. Hope it's worth everything that you're getting out of it and worth the time watching this. If you missed the full live stream, you want to watch the replay, it'll be on the YouTube channel. It'll also be on, should be on my LinkedIn as well. So, but John Good Cyber on YouTube, if you want to check that out, there's a lot of great content on there if you watch it on LinkedIn. But if you're watching on YouTube, hit me up on LinkedIn. Join connect with me. Join the community. Check out the link in the ticker below. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up for today. Thanks everybody for joining. I'll see you later.